tinkering with a failed plan will not stop the boats. And former Home Secretary Suella Braverman lays down a devastating piece in The Telegraph this morning, attacking the government's approach to the Rwanda scheme. She says there is no longer any chance of stopping the boats within the current legal framework, and the government are busy lying to themselves with self-deception and spin. Her solution: make the entire deportation process exempt from the legal niceties of the Human Rights Act and the European Convention on Human Rights. And meanwhile, Keir Starmer faces yet another rebellion as members of the Scottish Parliament are set to back the call for a ceasefire next week. Heading up to Scotland to see innovating green technology, he would have hoped to have put this issue to bed following Wednesday's vote. But the rumblings continue and the demonstrations continue. The ever-diplomatic Patrick Christys went down to the protest last night for a little chat, and let's see how that went down.
I just asked why you're here.
No, don't talk to journalists.
Why shouldn't people talk? Why are you here?
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Shame on you!
Hello.
Shame on you! 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 A minute! We have to explain to them why we are here in a civilised manner. Roshanara Ali, everyone else in the establishment is condoning the genocidal murder of Palestinians.
Well, they seem nice, don't they? Well, let's speak to our political correspondent now, Olivia Utley. And Olivia, why don't we start with the Braverman Bites Back, a withering piece in today's Daily Telegraph. She's gone from the Home Secretary and one of his best assets to his worst nightmare. What is she saying?
Well, absolutely. This was always going to be a big problem for Rishi Sunak as soon as he sacked Suella Braverman. She is on the backbenches causing trouble. She's essentially saying that there is no reworking this Rwanda plan. She's suggesting she comes up with 5 key tests to check that the Rwanda plan is working. But if you read between the lines, what she's saying is that the emergency legislation, which Rishi Sunak is planning to table, simply won't work. She says that basically we have to walk away from our international treaties. Now, that is a view that is echoed by quite a few Conservatives. I was in the meeting that a group of about 25 Conservatives called straight after Rishi Sunak stood up to make a statement on emergency legislation. And the consensus there was that Britain just needs to leave the European Court of Human Rights. Now, another view which I've heard emerging, which I think is popular, and I think Suella Braverman is sort of pointing to that idea in this piece today, is that these international treaties just need rewriting. Britain can walk away from them, or Britain can be at the forefront of helping the whole of the world rewrite international treaties which were designed for a different era. Now, obviously, that's not really going to be possible before an election. As Keir Starmer blisteringly pointed out yesterday, Rishi Sunak promised that he was going to stop the boats before the end of the year. We're now at mid-November, and he's essentially back to the drawing board. This is a biting piece from Suella Braverman, and I'm sure it's not the only one we're going to see. I used to work for the Telegraph comment desk. We wanted to get Suella Braverman in our pages a lot. We knew that what she said chimed with our readers. Obviously, it was difficult when she was the Home Secretary. She had to propagate the party lines. Now she's a free agent. I think she's going to be causing a lot of difficulty for the Prime Minister.
You know, Olivia, it begs the question. A lot of people, especially in GB Newsland, think a lot of Suella Braverman. It's OK to be a backseat driver now, but she was in the driving seat, only a few days ago. All of the things she's suggesting now, surely she could have done them before.
Well, absolutely, and I think there will be plenty who will make that argument. Interestingly, those I've spoken to on Rishi Sunak's team, his allies, have all said that actually the Prime Minister agreed with the Home Secretary on all major issues of home policy. The issue was, they argue, that Suella Braverman was simply incompetent. She wasn't capable of running her department in a way that would enable her to realise the values which she clearly holds so dear. Now, the fact that 5 days after leaving government, she has written this piece where she essentially points out what her own department should have done while she was in office, you could argue backs up that point of view. Suella Braverman, of course, would say that Rishi Sunak didn't listen to her. In her letter, that infamous letter she wrote a couple of days ago, she said that she had, I quote, become hoarse with telling Rishi Sunak what he needed to do, and that he simply turned a blind eye to her repeated assertions that he desperately needed a plan B. So that's what her team will say. His team will say she simply wasn't up to the job.
OK, Olivia Utley, thanks for that update. This one's going to rumble on. You know, she's firing shots from the sidelines and very much dictating